there, they would not remonstrate against being in, but now that is not owned by any of them anymore.
No, Northlink has, or Northlight has that. Northlight. It's a private firm.
Yeah, out of Missouri.
Yeah, and they already have one tenant, and that's the dollar store. They're gonna have their warehouse distribution there.
They'll go and they'll rent this space. And Dollar General's taking 80% of it, something along that line.
Yeah, they jumped on real fast.
That was good down to there, but it was only sewer, is that correct, or was it only water?
Sewer is what we
Sewer
have
down there.
Yeah, sewer.
They don't have water down there.
And we're going down 1100 to connect, aren't we? We're not going on 421.
Right. That's what.
Oh, that would.
Yeah. And see, there's two parcels there, and that's real close to the old Nash bench. And we can annex anything that is contiguous, right? Isn't that how it was? Contiguous?
Yeah, that should be a certain percentage.
Yeah, a certain percentage, that's right.
Like 20%.
Yeah.
Did that include Zimmer's concrete plant?
Of course. Oh, does he go, do we hit him if we go down 1100?
We could.
And then there's the other concrete plant back there that's sniffing up now.
Anyway, these two pieces of property, these two parcels are agriculturally used right now. And one of them's in the state and the other one is just a family owned. It's just a little part of what the family has.
Northern Colders?
No.
Neither?
No,
Okay.
no, neither.
I couldn't remember if I
No,
knew
neither.
that.
So anyway, Newman has all that information, and probably this is something this year that we'll get real serious about looking at.
It's, there's algorithms and math that you can do to determine the number of officers per thousand, but the FBI publishes it every year. So for small communities in the Midwest with less than 10,000 residents, the ideal officer per thousand is 2.8. So our population, you can never get a good number because they always include the prison. So if you take the population of the prison off, we're looking at somewhere between 3,000 and 3,500. So it puts us at about 9 officers.
And Darren's doing a strategic plan, I think you've got to.
Yeah, I'm gonna present that at the next town board meeting.
Is that some being part-time or is that 9 full-time?
It's 9 full-time. I want to eliminate all part-time.
Now, and I'll be the idiot here. You need to talk to Mike, because at the time when they wanted to change the zoning on the Froberg property, that I would have thought would have been a good time to put in there that if annexation happened, they would not fight it. Mike was not for annexation.
No. Oh, that's the one right there by McDonald's, the farm with the solar panels. Didn't he say that he would, did we talk to him at one of the meetings that?
Mayor's, I don't know what their stance are. Right now, they're kind of sitting, I think.
Well, at the time, they had, when the economy went up, they were in the process of having someone anchor business development there. You know, as to who it was going to be, but there was thoughts it was going to be one of the big box stores. It never went through, but they did rezone that property from agricultural to business to cover that. And as I said, Mike was not in favor of that being annexed into the town.
Do you remember what the reason was?
Yes,
What, do you want to share it or not?
he didn't think they wanted to be annexed,
Oh, okay.
that they wouldn't want to do that. That was pretty much it, so.
The only other option the only option we have other than annexation is Lowit, and that's not gonna work. I mean, this town board would pass a Lowit, and the next town board would eliminate it. So you guys would all lose your jobs, and
What is a Lowit?
local option income tax. It's just not gonna, that would never fly. So annexation is about it. And this is the 3D strategic plan for the police department. That's not, realistically, that's not even a 5-year plan. It's probably a 15-year plan or a 20-year plan. I would never want to do something to put the town in a position where they can't afford, their own employees. So my thoughts are put everything in place, like we have our fourth officer in place. And then when the time is right, whoever the chief is at that time can say, we have everything in place, we have our tax base, let's go ahead and open this up and start restructuring the department.
Well, strategic plan is like a dream, what you would like to have. I mean, it's the ultimate. And if you don't have something in mind, if you just sit and go with the status quo all the time, you're never going to grow. You're never going to change. And there's always going to be an opportunity for something to happen with Westville. Who would have ever dreamed 25, 30 years ago that we'd have 2 new subdivisions within that next 5 or 10 years? But we did. And it might happen again. You never know.
Sure.
So
Especially if it was town property.
absolutely. So you need to have a goal in mind of what you would like to see. Not that you're going to do it tomorrow, but you need to have it. And like you said, we had the fourth officer there, and he just slipped right into that position when it became available, and we could do it. So that's where we are with that.
I'm done. I talked too much.
Well, I'm glad you cleared that up, because from my casual, just going over the notes, I couldn't see the connection between the low utility costs and the need to have 9 police or 8 police officers.
Yeah.
So I was like, how's that fit
No.
together?
Just because the Conservancy pays less for water than Westville residents do, so.
No, we're all up to speed now, but, I understand it, but like I said, at first glance, it didn't seem to make sense.
Start the meeting.
If I can, just one last question on this, what was your eastern boundary, 900?
I didn't go any further east because the town limits made sense. There's no empty land there where you got county, we have Westville stopping and county picking up, it kind of made sense, so I didn't go east any. I left it where it was.
Because that was the problem with expanding the subdivision over there, was it couldn't, was it the sewer or the water that couldn't support it at the time?
No, we could. They chose not to do it.
Was that what it was? I thought it was
No, that's what it was.
thought it was a fairly good sized price tag to enlarge the water main,
There
or?
might have been a lift station involved or something.
There would have been that, but
So that was their choice on the
that
subdivision?
was their choice. Yeah. And the county had told us that would not happen, but it did.
It's not my fault.
No, it's.
Thank you.
We'll call the meeting to order at 6:11. We'll do roll call. Harry, you want to start?
Harry Lowenthal?
Jamie Overly,
William McMahon?
Regina Rudolph.
Tom Pfaff.
Darren Mercer.
Max Korea. All right, the third thing on our agenda is the election of officers.
Who is vice president now?
We do not have acting, Drew is vice president. So we do not have a vice president.
So we have a vice president and secretary,
Yep.
right? Those are the 3 positions. Well, I would make a motion that Tom be president.
Second.
I didn't get that all.
Is anybody interested in taking the vice president role? Or
What's the role entail?
probably, be supporting, if I'm absent, being active role as president, and then also, just like I think we've all kind of been doing on the level playing field, is just getting actively involved and continuing what our mission is. Zoning, strategically planning our year on the different goals, annexation's one, the zoning ordinance is gonna be a big one. I'm gonna list a couple others. I think I'm gonna be getting a new business. I'm gonna list some other items, like connectivity, I think is huge right now. I think that's a big thing I'm hearing out in the community right now, is connectivity's not there. Lori and I sat in on a presentation on What's Up 24/7 app. I was gonna go into that, what that entails, but also other ideas.
You would help set the agenda with
Yeah.
you if you want.
Sure.
Yes, definitely. And every meeting, that's another thing, if anybody has anything they want to throw out there, feel free. I forget, or sometimes I drop the ball and stuff, so, I'm human, so. Not busy or anything. But yeah, that's kind of a little bit of what it entails.
Yeah, I'd be agreeable to it, and if anyone else wants to do it, throw their hat in the ring.
I need to be good at it.
So I'm gonna amend my motion. I want to amend my motion to say that Tom will be president and Bill will be vice president and Jim will be secretary.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I think I forgot to
You realize, Bill, that means you can't be in the same place anywhere, you have to be away in case something happens to him.
Oh, yeah, we don't book the same flights.
We have a safe room for you.
Designated survivor, eh?
We got a vault.
That's important. Did you know that?
Next on the agenda is the approval of minutes. Has everyone had enough time to review the minutes or any, changes we need to make to the current minutes?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. All right, now moving on to old business. So La Crosse has officially approved the new zoning ordinance. I emailed it out on a Google Drive because it's like 30 megs the day before the meeting.
That's 310 pages.
310 pages, and I did not make copies for everybody. I apologize.
And I don't know why.
It's upsetting.
But if you go through it, you'll see he did a lot of the legwork. We stay with how he has it because he added a town section. He went through all the different categories and re-tagged. I'm gonna get the Word copy of it and see where he changed La Crosse and stuff like that. But it'd be a good starting block for us and for Randy going through this process. At the very end, if you look at it, he has his updated zoning map. That's one thing we'll have to do is make sure our zoning designations are the same as the zoning ordinance. It'll change a little bit on how it's tagged. And that's not gonna change people's zoning here, but we have to re-tag it per that. Those designations in that ordinance. That's something Charlie's gonna have to do. He's gonna have the expertise, and then there's gonna be the public review process, and that's what I kinda told, I didn't have Randy come to this meeting because I wanted us to first take a look at it, get feedback before our next meeting, and then I think we'll talk with Randy and set timeframes and what we need to do, and that gives him time to review what Justin prepared as well, and Charlie, because he said he was gonna take a look at it as well. So that's out there, I just wanted to get it out, and that's a big accomplishment for La Crosse. Like us, I know it is, he named his foot lacrosse on the list on the front page, so we can get added to that.
I thought there was an awful lot of Michigan cities still in there, and that was a strategic plan for Michigan cities north waterfront area.
He left everything in it, even if it didn't apply, because that's how I think the counties are set up too, they leave out everything in it. I know Charlie was originally crossing sections off, he just left them in there in case it ever does come about, it's there.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that it applies. I think when you go through you'll notice on the categories too, it'll say whether it applies to the towns.
Is there a timeframe you have for us to get?
I wanted to spend this next month before next meeting, to take a look at it, review it, comment on it, and then it's probably a good idea for us to meet with Randy before the next meeting and have a sit down like we did before with Charlie, Ray, probably Lori, Randy, and anybody else want to be part of that meeting?
Has Randy, when we first spoke about this, he didn't seem too terribly supportive. We're not gonna have to start all the way over from the beginning, are we?
No, I don't think so. I think this is gonna be a good starting block, and Randy's gonna have a lot of insight if there's something that, if there's anything that was overlooked, I'm sure he'll be able to catch and give some feedback on it.
Yeah, I mentioned when you brought it up that I'd like to be at the meetings, so
Okay.
if you could CC me in on that.
Yeah.
The planning of that time.
Yeah, I can do that. Is there any time that works best for you, or
Evenings during the week,
evenings? Okay.
and then, I'm sure we're gonna do it during the week sometime.
Yeah, I'm in the week. What time, is there,
Oh, 5 o'clock on is fine.
5 o'clock? Anybody else want to be in that email, Harry, or you?
I would like to be in there, but I can't tell you I'll be there, but
Okay.
if I can, I would like to know when they are.
Okay. All right. And then I got I'm moving on to the next item, unless somebody has anything to add to that. I talked to Lori about the beautification committee and where they're at and what they're doing. The gateway sign that we approved, I think it was
2 meetings ago. That's been ordered but not delivered. And then the courtyard project, they're set to have that started in the spring, right next to us. So I know they have benches and different stuff they're gonna do there. So, maybe next meeting we can have them do a little sketch or what, I think they have a sketch. I don't know, did they show us a sketch of that yet?
I haven't seen it.
I'll ask her if she can, if they have, what they have in mind for that. I know they showed us some of the,
I think she's bought some urns too, hasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
it'd be kinda cool to see how they're laying that out.
I think they were,
Initially, they didn't know what they were gonna have access to, so they didn't know if they were gonna have pavers or concrete, and then Smith said they were donating concrete and the labor to finish it. And then they didn't know about the benches, and then Bubba came up with the benches from Clear Lake, so, I think everything changed in the process of them doing a drawing, so we haven't seen one.
okay, and they still might be in the works then too, so. I'll mention it to her when they do, March, April, something like that.
Well, the neat thing about the courtyard is that there's gonna be Wi-Fi access for people, and it's going to have lights. I mean, lights are already there, so it's gonna be lit. For safety purposes, there's cameras everywhere. So, yeah, I think it'd just be a real nice community courtyard.
Is the whole thing gonna be covered, paved over?
I think so. I think that's planned.
I think if it's not all of it, it's almost all of it.
Yeah.
Would it be possible to tie any of that runoff into the sewer?
Not into the sewer, you can't dump stormwater into the sewer.
What of all the street runoff and whatnot, where's that go?
It goes into, some of them go into catch basins and other of them go into drains that go into ditches. Depends on where it is in town.
Okay.
That's one thing, our town does not have a storm, structure set in place, we don't. Some cities have moved through storm, storm fees that customers pay, but that's, right now, like, basically it comes out of the, I think, the general fund. So that's a difficult one, because the general fund doesn't really allow for storm projects. We've done it over the years, we've incorporated it, but it's not an easy task to do on a limited budget.
I just know for me, like the problem, a hurdle I have with that property, we've got back on Baldwin Street there where I do some of the machinery refurbishing, is that I contend with several businesses who their 100% of the square footage of their property is covered by a building. And so all of the runoff from their property runs into the alley, and then it runs, down my drive. And so I'm looking at like putting some sort of diverter or some sort of culvert there, like to divert that into something, because it causes me issue. And so when I think of this whole area here being paved over, it's just like that much more of the ground is not going to be absorbing rainwater, but it's going to be running it off to the south.
That could be something we could have Bubba look at and see if, I don't know if it could be with slope or a drain, or get it onto Main Street somehow. I know I've seen them do different stuff on the sidewalks.
Sure. Or maybe even if there's some space there that, it's not completely paved, so that water immediately has a place to kind of run off into the earth, so it's not diverted to, a different parcel.
Well, all of that grass is not gonna be covered,
Okay.
because we only own up to about half of it, right?
Sure.
So between the two buildings, half of it's still gonna be grass.
Yeah, so as long as you slope to the west, it's
Yeah.
gonna be fine anyway.
Yeah.
Bill, where's your property on Valparaiso Street?
I've got the green building that's directly behind Town Hall.
Okay.
If you turn and look to the right behind Jimmy's.
Mm-hmm. So you have a problem with it running down and...
Yeah, I get the Mason's building, and I get Jimmy's, and I get, the print shop, and I get all of that square footage right there under that common piece of alley, that's paved, and it's graded towards the west, and so, or south rather, and so, I get an issue where it's running down, towards me, and so far it hasn't been a huge hurdle, but I feel like, it's something I'm gonna have to divert here, so I don't get foundation damage in the future.
I just know that, like when you go to Jefferson Street, it's here and there, but there used to be some clay tile that ran down across Railroad into the green area there.
Mm-hmm.
didn't know if any of that was here.
I know that when we had that leak, I know there's a drain that's on, as railroad turns into Valparaiso, there's a drain on that corner.
Mhm.
Thank goodness. But,
Nothing coming down.
I know we got some catch basins, I don't know how those catch basins, or those drains on the end of Main Street, how those are all connected, I don't know. I'll have to ask Bubba. That's something we need to, and that's, at the end, I'm gonna touch base on that too, on record keeping, when we get developments in. That's one of the, I'll talk about it now. One thing going through water and wastewater and understanding like CAD files, all our systems and all the information we have as a town. We've got servers now, we have better ways to keep track of information. Whenever we have a development or anything takes place, we need to start asking for CAD files and start looking towards GIS and ways to keep track of everything. Paper copies don't work no more. We can scan them in and that holds them, but having millions of paper copies is not gonna work in the future. We gotta have something that can be stored in town, councils change, people change, it's here, and it's protected. That's one of the things Valparaiso's doing, I guess. They got they're using GIS, Hebron's doing it now, but anytime they do a project, they get those files, they have it incorporated in their town structure, so they have it. In case in the future things change, say annexation takes place, those details happen, you have it. And you're not trying to figure it out 30 years how things were done. So, but that's one of the things I wanted to bring. I think that's one of the things when we start getting development and people are coming in here, we make that request. That might be from my understanding, I don't think Valparaiso they just request it and they hand it over. I don't think there's any type of, structure put in place. I think people are willing to hand it over, you just gotta ask.
Do they involve that with the site review before the project?
Probably. But then when it's completed, they want that completed.
Whatever else.
Yeah, whatever as-built, especially if they're tying into water and sewer, having those as-built in DWG format incorporated. That's one of, I think, our goals now is to have have everything on GIS so we can just go out. If we have a valve buried under 3 feet burned with snow, okay.
Sure, it's just so powerful though,
Yeah.
because, I come from a consulting background, and a lot of what you would do would take, these 30, 40, 70-year-old drawings of a site, and you'd have to map out all the utilities and, where everything was buried and all of that, and reference it in regards to the new construction that was going in. And then you would take that, but once you have that, that's a living document. And so you could not only use that and connect it to other DWGs, so you could have a living map of the whole area, but you could run that through SolidWorks. And once once it's a solid model, well, then you can do flow calculations and everything else to figure out what your capacity is, where your weak points are. That opens up a lot of potential.
Yeah, and that's where more information. Information comes. We got to have some type of process. We have to be able to hold that data and keep it in an organized fashion. Having 10 binders of different, studies done.
Sure.
Isn't if you need it readily available, and being able to have it when you need it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of my, I think, our town's goals needs to be. I know Lori's done an excellent job, Darren's done an excellent job with the servers and finding ways to do good dock control. I know you've done a lot of record keeping, Lori has too, but we need to do the same thing in water, wastewater. And that's when we're going to be been pretty good at doing that. So.
Part of that with the mains is that there was thought that there might even be some of the old wood mains out there in town.
Yeah.
That's ancient.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever had that discussion with Ron. If you ever get a chance, you might want to. It's interesting what they feel is underground here in town.
Oh, yeah, we're so brittle.
Well,
A lot of our infrastructure is brittle.
We do have newer Coulter Road's all new, Water Tower's new, we got newer subdivisions, Flynn Road, when we widen that, it's all new, highway main.
At the town.
Yeah, the original part of the town is something we're looking seriously at.
This is an old 4-inch, wasn't it?
Well, it was a 4 going into an 8 going, a 6, it was actually at a T, so there's a lot going, there's 2 T's there, there's a lot going on. A lot happening there, so that's one of the things we're gonna look at. There might be a possibility of looking at an Oprah grant, you know, if we just block out the older part of town for, depending on income and stuff like that. So I think McMahon's actually gonna investigate that a little bit to see if there's an opportunity there for, putting in some new infrastructure. We'll have to wait and see if it makes sense, but as far as the record keeping, us knowing what we have existing, that's gonna be a big deal. We do have a lot of good information, it's just a matter of compiling it.
Are there any grants out there to compile that information or
That's something,
go after it?
we haven't looked at that, but that would be a good idea. I know, that's, GIS is something IDEM's probably gonna head towards, I know they're encouraging it right now, I'm sure it's gonna be required at some point in time. But, that would be something maybe we can look at IDEM and see if they have anything available for that.
But Jerry White talked about that. Remember when he was up here talking with us? He made a comment that there's some grants for, infrastructure.
Yeah, I know Hebron,
And Rolling Prairie has done something, they got some,
Yes,
remember that, Gene, what's his name, the head of that?
water and sewer
Yeah.
improvements.
Yeah.
I think Hebron got an Oka grant recently.
Did they?
Yeah, I think it was for storm though. So that's something to look into. I think McMahon helped them out with that grant. So that's one thing. I'll be talking with John Sturgill a little bit more about that and see what's up available. The next on my list on new business, I wanted to talk about the What's Up 24/7. So we went down to La Crosse, Lori and I, sitting in on a presentation on this app that's supposed to connect, like a small town. And basically, what it was a one-stop shop where people, all your different nonprofits, businesses, anybody that puts events, it's a way to search information very readily, easily. It was a cool app, but the cost is it has a huge. I know the South County group. I reached out to them to do South County was like $9,000. It's pretty salty. So one thing I wanted to see if our group could do research and anybody in their expertise. It almost looked like how Facebook shares events, but if there's a different resource we could use, you can look at it's called What's Up 24/7 if you want to research what they have. It's in the making now. The problem with it too is, it doesn't look like it was with other social medias. It didn't, like a lot of people don't have websites. So if you don't have a website, you just have a Facebook page, you can't really use it yet. It's still in the making.
I understand that what it actually is, they want people to give them money so they can do it.
Yes.
They just want to tell you what the concept is.
Yep.
And then you give them the money and then they'll do it.
Yep.
And the other side of that, the flip side of that is that if you go to the Visitors Bureau, that stuff's already there.
And that might be something for us to reach out with the Visitors Bureau. Because one of the unique things Lori and I were talking about with Westville is, we're very connected with Michigan City and LaPorte here. I think we're very connected. If you look at how people, you can probably about Rayville. So if you look at how people move and shop and go to work,
Sure.
a lot of people live here, but they don't necessarily. Some people work here, but a lot of people go
Right,
outside.
we go to church in Valpo, or
Yep, that's
where
it.
we go.
Yep, that's exactly right. So we got to find, but then at the same token, we need to make more information readily available here. One of the things we've been talking about in our town of Westville, and I think we've been struggling with a little bit, is connectivity between different organizations. I feel like we were building it up and it kind of fell off again. How do we connect us better in town to know what's going on? We use Facebook a lot, but is there a better way to connect Westville people together?
Sure, especially as people, like, I've migrated away from Facebook, I'm not attracted to that whole.
Well, Facebook's having some problems.
I just don't wanna have anything to do with it, so I'm staying in my bubble.
There are some issues.
Yeah. But, so that's, if anybody wants to look into that, I think, and maybe it is reaching out to the Visitors Bureau, and see what, we can reach out to Jane Daly or somebody over there and see what the recommendations are, but, it would be neat if we can find more ways to connect the town. They do have a calendar on the Visitors Bureau that's free to use, but a lot of people don't know that, and then I think you gotta let them know a decent amount of time ahead of time. You can even get published in their, event, brochures they hand out for free, I believe, if you know what events are going on, but that has to be done well in advance. So, just something to keep in mind, I think, if the planning commission connectivity is huge and getting information out there and keeping people going forward. the next thing I wanted to talk about this year, if no one's visited it or seen it, Clear Lake is like 90% complete except for the floating pier we're going to be adding in the spring. They didn't want to put it out before winter, but they did put an ADA parking spot and they're going to have an ADA ramp or a floating pier going out for Clear Lake so people can access it. It's a neat site. I mean, they cleaned it up pretty well, I thought. Some of the pictures on the top are earlier pictures they put in the boat launch. But that's open and people are using it. I see people out there almost every week, and I know there's 2 vehicles parked out there. So it's really, I thought it was, I mean, it's cool to go out there in the summer. It's beautiful. I haven't seen it since I was a kid, really, especially looking like that. It was all going around the weeds. You could even have to go out to the water and see it.
Do you think it'll always be for boating and that type of recreation, or do you ever envision people swimming out there?
I don't think swimming, because when we had it open, I think we had to have a lifeguard out. DNR is never going to put a lifeguard out there. That was the problem. It was insurance, lifeguard, and then you have to test the water, I think, too, don't you?
Pretty good, ice fishing group out there.
Did they?
Yeah, there were a number out there. At least a dozen.
That's great.
That's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's neat.
I know the DNR, so they've gotten a lot of good comments about it. I think there's some concern about it being overfished, but, you know, like all fishing holes, eventually people are going to get tired of it and move on to the next one.
This is catch and release, right?
No.
Okay.
This goes, it's just a standard regulation the DNR has.
Okay.
Access point.
And how the local residents feel about losing their private lake.
And there's you know, at the same token though, we could open it back up, you know. We go out fishing out of there and everything else. I mean, the issue with the town was cost.
Okay.
So basically the DNR, they got a grant to put in all this infrastructure. There was no cost to the town.
Bill, to let you know what happened when we stopped using Clear Lake as a recreational lake. It cost $26,000 for the insurance for that. The town had to pay that, and the revenue we got for last year it was open was $700. So it kind of didn't
Sure.
pay its way.
No, I can see that. I remember going out there as a youngster, and I don't think we ever paid anything.
Yeah.
I just think we enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's all financial. Okay.
It's the town's responsibility back then, that's what I'm trying to remember, because you had the private part to the south, that was private beach area.
No, it was
Clear
actually,
Lake.
well, the town was maintaining it, because I can remember being out there, again, as a teenager, and there'd be Bubba, you know, taking care of it like it was
We
just
took
another
care of
park.
all of it. We took care of all of it, yeah.
I know Bart had some of his, he had his lifeguard stuff, so in the little block building. But anyway, so that's just a little update. That'll be completed 100% next year. They are looking for somebody, if there's any organizations out there, to help keep an eye on it or clean it up. The DNR, you know, they're stretched very thin on their ability. I mean, that's why you see it the way it is with all the stone and everything. They probably subcontract out so much, but just somebody that's interested in taking care of the site or adopting it. So, if you know of any organizations or even like a Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts group that'd be interested in something, that'd be a cool project.
That's neat.
And if anybody knows of anybody, I can give you, I think it's Bill Seeger, I have his contact information. Last on the list, I attended the last NERC meeting. One item that's on the budget was on we've been talking about the Lincoln Trail extension from West 300 South to P&W. It looks like they have a total cost of that project to be like $1.8 million. Federally funded 1.4, and then over about 400,000 non-federally funded money for that project. It's pretty, I think it's like, just like when they did the project connecting Bloom's Trail up to Westville, it's probably ways out, but they're probably going to start doing their initial studies of it.
probably an environmental impact study and those types of things. So, I just understand funds are allocated for it, so I just want to keep everyone posted, because we talked about that, so.
Yeah.
I imagine Mitch Bishop is the contact for that, and what's going on.
That's cool, that's at least on the books, you know,
Yeah.
it's an interesting project.
Now, would they take the old railroad bed?
I imagine part of it, I don't know how though, that's gonna be an interesting one.
Because that's still with the railroad, isn't it?
I don't think they could, if you go past there, it is occupied,
Yeah, they got, I noticed isn't there a driveway?
that is somebody's driveway now,
Yeah.
and it has been, that is occupied by someone.
I'm trying to think that, and, Regina, maybe you remember, but they didn't want to ever, the railroad never wanted to give up that section of it, because the town tried to get it.
Yeah, we tried several years ago.
They wouldn't touch it, so it's where,
I think,
I don't know how much belongs to who, but,
I know the Creasels own part of it, I think.
Yeah.
or at least they think they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that may be part of it.
NIPSCO has an easement that connects, I know as you go up the railroad bed, NIPSCO has a pretty huge easement for their stuff that takes it back out to the highway. It'll be interesting, I imagine they're gonna do a study, see the best route. And they're probably after they finish all of that, when they'll start having discussions. And we'll probably get more information, but right now it's just kind of more a number on a budget. But if more information comes out, we'll see if we can get some. I think probably the county, this is a county project, so.
I think, Harry, you're talking about probably 12 years ago, 15 years ago, when the town was seriously talking with the railroad about getting that property, and they shut us down real quick.
Because it's on our zoning map.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know if there was any reason given, they just did not discuss it with us.
I think it was it's ours and you can't have it,
Yeah, basically, that was it. They wouldn't even entertain a meeting.
which is surprising because so many of them
Yeah.
gave them up.
Yeah. And there wasn't any thinking about what they would be doing with that in the future. I mean, I don't think they had any future plans for it. Obviously, they didn't. Look at where we are today, and we still haven't.
I don't know what they could have used it for.
No.
Even if they were gonna make it a railroad again, I don't know what they could have done.
No. It was kind of strange. I think we all were kind of surprised about that. At least entertain a meeting,
Yeah.
hear what we had to say.
Yeah, I know that working with the railroads is a whole other.
And you found that out, didn't you?
Well, I think they're having, I know a lot of municipalities are having issues with railroad or train stopping and limiting access. They're having issues with them stopping in the middle of points in the city, which is causing a lot of issues. I know in Hammond and Chesterton probably and others, it's becoming a big issue.
Indiana,
Lift the fines that the railroad get charged for blocking intersections, because
Indiana got rid of those
Yeah,
laws.
they got rid of them.
That's the issue they're running into right now, so they're working with, there's a couple legislators working on that. So, I'm sure we'll get updated.
It is a public safety issue.
Yeah, well, especially say you got an ambulance or.
That's right. Fire.
You know, you don't want somebody, someone's walking across there, you don't want them, getting the idea of walking across, an active train, so. But anyways, the railroads are sometimes tricky to work with. Sometimes you gotta just find a way to get them at the table and have that conversation, and just finding the right people to talk to, I think, too. But, that's all I had on my list for this meeting. Is there any other, focuses anybody thinks that we need to aim at? Because some of these are the zoning ordinance is gonna be a huge undertaking, a lot more, there's gonna be several meetings and a lot of reviewing. But if it gets accomplished, it'll be a huge win for the planning commission, for the town.
Oh, yeah, to get something in there that is standardized, but it also works for the residents and takes care of, who's here and who's looking to be here, as far as paving the way for new people to come in.
That's exactly right.
It's a big deal.
There won't be less confusion. It makes it more easier for a developer, anybody coming in. Speaking of subdivisions, was it 2 years ago, Brett Carney, with his, he's getting ready, I think, to develop his, 32-unit duplex,
private.
That's the north part of it?
Yeah, over by McDonald's. That's gonna be, I don't know how, he's probably not gonna do it all at one time, it's gonna be built over time, but the ultimate plan is to have 32 units over there in lieu of apartments. It's kind of the same concept, but it'd be more attractive for the town to have the way he's setting it up with duplexes instead of an apartment complex. But we're starting to have discussions with them on water and wastewater, I know.
Since you don't have Ethan anymore, you might wanna, what's our
Randy?
old attorney, Randy? I wanna talk to him about that, because that was a planned unit development.
Yep.
And that was designed for certain things. And, you know, we went ahead and changed that when it came to the business part, to allow him to put those duplexes in there, because that was originally supposed to be stores, that part of it. And part of that with a PUD required the different types of residential. So that's why that had the plans for those apartments there. And my personal opinion is I think the duplexes is a better idea. But with the planned unit developments, realistically are not supposed to change anything until they are built out to what they were spec'd to be. And that was changed with the commercial part. Like I say, I understand it. And it needed to happen because nobody was gonna put in commercial space. But that section of that development is designed for apartments. That's what it's zoned for.
I think he did get a variance, he got a variance.
Okay. 'Cause I don't remember that ever coming before us.
It won't,
Very well might have.
it did, he did go before the BZA. I don't know, he might have went directly to the BZA with that. I'm trying to remember. I know it was in the BZA's hands. It was probably a year and a half, 2 years ago though. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been quite a while.
Gosh, I'm trying to remember. Time moved.
I was at that meeting, I remember being at that meeting. Mark Parkman was with him when he got the variance.
I think he might have talked about the project briefly with us, but since it was a zoning variance, I think the process was for him to go in front of the BZA. I know Ethan was involved, like you said, Ethan was involved with it, and there was a lot of discussions. So, but I'll run it by Randy too, because it's gonna be a big undertaking.
He does, Harry, he did get that.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was at that meeting.
Because that'd be, you know, something that would have to be
Yeah,
sure of.
yeah, because Mark Parkman was with him, and, yeah, I'm pretty sure. We'll look, we'll have a word look.
Yeah. I think there was quite a, I know Drew was at that meeting. I wasn't able to make it, but I know there was.
They had a crowd.
Yeah. Because I think they had to notify everybody, notify, the public notices and everything.
And everyone was in support. I mean, he was supported by everybody, so.
Because I know a concern would be, it would be all Section 8 housing, you know, government housing, that type of thing. And a lot of people aren't in favor of that, so.
Yeah, and that was discussed, and it won't be.
I think there was other discussions about it not being allowed to be broken up and parceled out, individual buildings sold. It's all one big parcel, so.
I think
And it's all privately owned, the roads and
right.
everything in there is private.
He was sensitive to concerns.
But that might be something to make sure that that's run by Randy, because that's, what does float in my head is that, you know, planned unit developments were supposed to be done according to what they were designed for, until a change could be made. It had to be done at the end, so, you know, if it can be done, fantastic.
Anything else before? Sir, no, sir. Not 7:30, 5 minutes. All right. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn then. Second. All those in favor?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Did I say that wrong? Thanks, everyone.
You're welcome.
Still got a coach from there.
A little fast on seconds there.
I'd like to get my name in a minute. Well, thanks for everyone for coming, and
Thank you, Tom.
like I said, that zoning, feel free to comb that zoning ordinance, mark it up. It's probably easier to do it electronically than print out 310 pages, or print out the applicable sections.
see if I can get it more condensed to where the sections that don't apply, maybe we just kind of leave out and just.
Yes.
This is one time.
All right. Better hit the button again, so it's gonna 5-hour video.
Everybody?
Yeah.
She's on the first step.
Bye,
everyone. Hey, thank you.
Talk to you later.
Good meeting you, buddy.
Pleasure to meet you.